This is Les Kiter with Brock Yates coming to you from the 14th Annual National Hot Rod Association Championship Drag Races at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Here are the highlights of drag racing show of shows, featuring challengers from all 50 states and Canada in the wildest array of driving skill and exotic machinery ever assembled. Big Daddy Don Garlits, Mr. Cool of drag racing, the guy who's won everything, goes to the line in search of a third national championship at Indianapolis, something no one has ever achieved before. Garlits, the superhero of big-time drag racing, is fresh from a great win at the Spring Nationals. King Rat is the odds-on favorite to capture national honors and a pot of gold estimated at $25,000. His opponent, Steve Carbone, gives it the old drag racer's try, but he's no match for Garlits. Big Daddy is king of speed again. But wait a minute. Big Daddy's victory wrapped up the 1968 Nationals. We've missed all the action, so let's put the time tunnel in reverse. Come on, Big Daddy. You're way ahead of schedule. There, that's better. You see, the NHRA Nationals at Indianapolis is a lot more than one race. In fact, it's the biggest auto sports showcase in the world, with over 1,500 cars and drivers, and better than $100,000 in prize money and 100,000 fans. And, well, as you can see, Indy involves some pretty big numbers. Drag racing is an exquisitely simple form of competition. A pair of cars line up at the head of a quarter-mile strip of pavement. Their start is governed by an electronic device nicknamed a Christmas tree that gives each driver a perfectly even chance. The yellow lights blink a warning. Then the green flashes on. The race begins. The first car to reach the end of the quarter-mile wins, the other loses. Drag racing is beautifully quick and to the point. Every speed merchant in racing is here, including California's Don Prudhomme. Quick as he is, the snake knows that for Indy, he will have to be even quicker.
I think this is the toughest field they ever had in drag racing. I think all the cars, by the time they're qualified, will be in the 6-second bracket.
It's going to be close. It's 7-0s now, but there's a lot of 7-0 cars, and I don't believe that all of the cars are going to make it into the 6s, not all 32.
While the headlines are captured by high rollers like Garlits and Prudhomme in their 230-mile-per-hour mechanical monsters, a lot of people forget that drag racing is a fun sport, designed for little guys and little girls. They migrate to Indy by the hundreds, towing behind their trucks and station wagons some of the wildest automobiles in captivity. Drag racing is a showplace for a purely American pop art form that manifests itself in madly imaginative paint jobs and car names that range from the amusing to the strident, to the outright boastful, the wildest kind of wishful thinking. The first 2 days of the 4-day Indy extravaganza are consumed by practice and time trials. And a brash Californian named Tom the Mongoose McEwen manages to record the top speed and low elapsed time of the event.
Well, we had a real good year. We ran 664 to Orange County out in California in February, which was a low ET backed up with a 670. And then I ran a 667, 231 here yesterday, which I'm in line again today and trying to run a little faster speed-wise. And things are just going our way for a change.
You've always had bad luck here, haven't you, in the past, Tom? Is that right?
Right. I always seem to qualify good, but in eliminations, like last year, I went up to the last round against Garlits, and I fouled, red-lighted light. And I don't know, maybe I try too hard or something. This year, I'm just going to try to I try a whole lot of things, and I usually mess myself up. This year, I'm going to kind of just take it easy and run the same combination all meet and just do what I can.
Last year, Brock, as you know, we knew that the car would run faster than we were running it in the time trials, and we were, as the saying in the sport goes, sandbagging. And we didn't want to make a real good run until it was absolutely necessary. Well, this year, there'd be no point in trying anything like that because the competition knows what the car is capable of. So this year we just want to come in and run real strong and let the guys know just what the car will do, and hope on the psychological effect of just a good running car in the other lane.
In other words, you plan to just maintain as much pressure on the opposition as you possibly can, but not really to change your tactics as you go on through the event.
No, I'll drive, I'll squeeze a tree just as tight as I always do, and I'll have my little tricks in the eliminations, lanes, and what you'd say to the competition and everything, and lane choices, and these things will always, you know, nothing is really planned far ahead. It's just as we go along and the opportunity presents itself, that's what I'll do.
Nobody can really plan that far ahead in a drag race. Machines are fickle, and men must be prepared to keep them running. And this means everybody at Indy keeps busy. Well, almost everybody. Certainly everybody around the Hurst Safety Center is wide awake, because this is the focal point for a brand of feverish activity that has given Hurst its unique reputation for backing drag racing to the limit. The Hurst crew is on hand 50 strong to keep the machinery running, to keep the racing safe. They've brought $120,000 worth of equipment with them. Before the event is over, they will use a quarter mile of welding rod and enough nuts, bolts, and gaskets to make a fleet of automobiles. The Hurst associates are here to help in any way they can, and help they do. Nearly half the 1,500 entrants here at Indy receive Hurst aid. The problems range from minor jobs like overhauling Hurst shifters to big ones, like adding 600 pounds of ballast to a car so it can meet minimum weight requirements. In all, nearly a quarter ton of metal and thousands of highly skilled man-hours are donated to making the Nationals as safe and successful as possible. All of the work is done without charge for anyone who needs help, regardless of whether he uses Hurst equipment. A great deal of time is spent helping the racers meet the NHRA's rigid safety requirements. Dozens of competitors also need last-minute work to keep them in the running. In one case, a giant crack in a dragster's engine block was welded up, permitting the car to make a qualifying run. This kind of devotion to the sport brought George Hurst the Manufacturer of the Year award from Carcraft magazine for the second straight year, and made his safety center an indispensable part of the Nationals. Super stockers are the bread and butter of drag racing. Though not the fastest machines on the strip, they attract a devoted following, provide instant excitement by the decibel ton. One of the most successful jockeys in the super stock category is a lean southerner named Ronnie Socks, who finds that too much traveling on the speed tour can be a handicap.
Ronnie, is it hard to stay up, in other words, to remain at a very high competitive edge throughout the season in view of the fact that you do so much drag racing?
It really is. What a lot of people don't understand is traveling all over the United States like we do with these clinics. We don't really have that much time to work on our cars. People say, well, you're back, you know, you get everything, but what they don't realize is that we do a lot of experimenting for the other people. And we get all the bugs worked out, and this information goes on to the other guys, so we really have to really work for it.
For example, this morning, is it hard to get your competitive juices really stirred up and get ready to go out there and drive just as hard as you can?
Well, definitely, and something else, you got to think about the night before, because the reflexes have really got to be sharp with this starting system. That is one of the main things, really.
Most of the cars in drag racing are common garden variety stockers. They're allowed very few engine and chassis modifications, and many of the competing machines can be driven on the street. The speed scene at Indy has always been enthusiastically co-ed. For some members of the fair sex, watching isn't enough. Shirley Shahan always wanted to be in the thick of the action. Today, as the drag-on lady, she is one of the fastest women drivers on wheels.
I don't really pay any attention to the competition. I just watch the light. I try to let nothing distract me from what's going on at the line, and that way I'm ready.
Is it hard to, how many races a year do you run?
Well, it's hard to say. We have been on tour since May, and we usually make about 2 meets a week. Over 100 races, I'd say, easy.
Shirley does well in the opening trial heats at Indy, but meets her match in a run against Richard Ornfield, jockeying another Dodge known, would you believe, as the Good Guys. Normally, it's ladies first, but in drag racing, anything goes. It took the New York-based Dart just 10.96 seconds to put Shirley on the trailer. The best known of the Dodge boys is Dick Landy, burly cigar-chewing pro from California. A longtime star in the super stock ranks, Dick had this to say about Indy.
Dick Landy, how do you stand in the field at this present time?
Brock, we're number 3 qualifier, and we're looking real good for the Superstock Eliminator.
Is this the strongest field that you've ever been involved with?
The Nationals here at Indianapolis is always the strongest field you can come up against.
Who specifically are the men that you're worried about?
The biggest one is my own competitor or teammate is the Sox and Martin group, and then in the Chevrolet team it's Bill Jenkins, Grumpy. He's a hard one to beat.
Dick, if you were going to advise a young man who was interested in becoming a superstock racing star, what particular aspect of driving would you advise him to concentrate on?
The most important thing, we believe, is reaction time. The next thing, if you're going to get into it, do not try and get in where these so-called big boys are. Start out with a small, pure stock car and get your timing, your reaction, then go out and get the car prepared properly. You've got to be, driving is 80% of the whole race. Learn to drive it, and then generally you'll come out to the track and you'll find people that have a car that's 2/10 off that can still win the races. It goes to show you do not need the equipment as much as you need a good driver.
The curtain closes on 3 days of practice, qualifying runs, and class eliminations at Indy. And the stage is set for championship competition. 32 competitors remain in each of 7 championship categories. Winners will be selected through a series of 5 elimination rounds. And for some, the work goes on almost until race time. Labor Day at Indianapolis Raceway Park is drag racing's greatest moment. Every square inch of grandstand and pit area is jammed to capacity. It's an all-American crowd, the speed set. For the most part, they are amateur racers who compete for the love of the sport and bring their kids along to watch. Your next-door neighbor bitten by the racing bug. It's a kind of speed holiday decorated by thousands of colorful decals. Not all the decals end up on the racing machinery. For world champion Ed Miller, in his 1968 Hemi Barracuda, the racing bug has been pretty rewarding. This New York mechanic once collected $16,000 for a single run, the richest purse in drag racing history. At Indy, Miller is shut down by Wally Booth's Michigan-based Camaro, which hangs onto a 1-second handicap right down to the wire. But the crowd has come to see Big Daddy, the unrivaled favorite. He faces the fastest, strongest field of fuelers ever assembled. Garlits comes to the line against Duke Ray, one of the lesser-known dragster stars. As Big Daddy's crew prepares for this young challenger, few really believe that a second Nationals crown is in the cards. Garlits knows Ray is hungry for a victory.
But the lesser-known driver is more apt to put more nitro and squeeze his car and lean on his engine harder than the pro, because the pro, he's thinking of the outcome of the entire event, where the lesser-known driver is facing Big Daddy.
Ray builds a quick lead and then gets bent out of shape in the stretch as Garlits pushes hard to win by inches. Now it's the semifinal round in the popular Super Eliminator class, where the spectacular funny cars hang out. Here, Bruce Larson's blown Camaro lines up against a AA competition rail, driven by Paul Stage, a young machinist from Illinois. winner of the Spring National title in Super Eliminator. It is up to Stage to stop an all-funny car final in this class at Indy. Stage blasted to a win, but it couldn't have been closer. In 7.99 seconds and 171.75 miles per hour. Although drag racing is divided over 90 classes, most of the cars fall into roughly two categories: specially modified competition cars, or dragsters, and the more familiar super stock or passenger type machines. Acutely sensitive reactions under pressure-packed situations, the sign of the true professional in the sport, will win more races than sheer horsepower. Here, TV star Dick Smothers makes a surprise try at super stock drag racing. A fine road racing driver, Dick handles his Hurst-equipped Olds super stock over the quarter mile like a veteran, turning in a 10-second performance his first time behind the wheel. Shifting is the name of the game in the super stock categories. Dragsters, on the other hand, are tubular-framed, custom-built racing cars. Their engines are often supercharged or fuel-injected to produce over 1,500 horsepower. Because of their lightweight and great power, they often don't use transmissions. Braking at the top end becomes a big headache, and most dragsters depend on Hurst-Earhart safety disc brakes for stopping power. And oh yes, there's one more difference. The dragsters are usually noisier by several thousand decibels. And now the speed show really opens up. Arlen Vanke rolls to the line to face defending national champ Bill Grumpy Jenkins and his hot Camaro in the Superstock semifinals. As Grumpy smokes off the starting line, Vanke grabs a quick lead and will not be denied, shutting down the 1967 champion with a 110.97 mile per hour run. A surprise victory for the Akron, Ohio star, who's making a determined drive for the title. Meantime, Garlits has eliminated Tom McEwen. And with rivals like Prudhomme, Mike Snively, Connie Kalita, and John Mulligan already on the trailer, he suddenly looks like the man to beat again.
Do you feel any pressure at this particular point? You've done this so many times. You've won it twice. Is it beginning to affect you at this particular moment?
No, it's too early in the race yet, Brock. I don't feel any pressure yet at all.
When does the pressure start to build? When it gets down to the
semi-final round and the final round.
Any particular changes that you made in the car in the course of these two runs? Are you made any adjustments at all?
Just minor tuning adjustments, trying to dial into the atmospheric conditions that are here at Indianapolis.
Is the track about what you had expected it to be?
Yes, the traction's coming up real well.
Benny the Wizard Osborne, the world's champion, poses a major barrier to Garlits' title hopes. The defending Nationals king and the current world champion. How do you call this one? Something has to give. The Oklahoma Wizard wants this race in the worst way. He knows that King Rat is the one you have to shut down. Garlits is super cool, rolling into the staging area with extreme care. Nerves are pulled tight, and Osborne is the one to break. Leaving off the line, the Wizard is a split second too eager. He squeezes the tree a fraction too soon. The dragsters post identical times of 6.88 seconds, but only Big Daddy makes the semifinals. Now Paul Stage faces his second straight funny car. This time, it's Dino Don Nicholson and his out-of-sight Cougar. This monster looks like a stalker on the surface, but is actually a supercharged 1,200 horsepower fuel-burning engine covered by a fragile fiberglass shell. At stake, the Super Eliminator Championship. Stage rockets away with Nicholson in frantic pursuit. It's a race all the way with the rail shutting down the funny car at the top end with a record elapsed time of 7.91 seconds. Stage is the champ. Another title match, this time in Super Stock, where Arlen Banky's Barracuda goes at it with Wally Booth's Quick Camaro. In this run, over $6,000 is right on the line. Booth's lower horsepower car gets a slight handicap and is permitted to leave early. It's the tortoise and the hare, with Banky playing an incredible game of catch-up, nipping Booth in the last few feet at 118.11 miles an hour. The runoff for Stock Eliminator, and the driver of the Corvette is 19-year-old Larry Lombardo, one of the youngest drivers at Indy. He's facing Dave Buell, driving his Dodge station wagon, and Lombardo is given a head start under the handicapping system. The young driver grabs a car-length lead and drives hard for the line with Buell at his heels. It's a tight finish with Lombardo the winner. Street Eliminator class, Dave Kopel in his flying Barracuda goes to the line with a new national record of 9.78 seconds and 141.28 miles per hour already in the bag. His competition, Sam Giannino, at the wheel of a fierce-looking Corvette that winds up to 9,600 RPM on the starting line. The Christmas tree wipes out Kopel as Giannino romps home at 123.96 miles per hour. Canada has a representative in the final as Toronto's Carl Rowland makes a competition eliminator scene driving a Chevy-powered Fiat. His challenger is Harry Lucider of Pennsylvania at the wheel of an immaculate 1932 Ford, also sporting V8 Chevy power. Into the lights, and Lucider backs off the line and restages closer to the strip edge. Here comes the green, and Lucider is given the handicap advantage. Rowland's lightweight speedster takes up the chase in a valiant attempt to catch the fast-fleeing Ford. But Lucider holds off the Canadian in the stretch and takes the win and a new national elapsed time record of 11.54 seconds. Two more races remain for Top Fuel and Top Gas Eliminator. In Top Gas, Wally Rhodes in the beautiful Gashouse Gang Gasser faces Jack Jones. Jones, setting up in the near lane, has encountered a series of minor disasters during this weekend, including a rash of blown engines, and is a decided underdog. His engine is composed of pickup bits and pieces and appears to be better suited for a used car than a championship dragster. Undaunted, Jones leaps off the line, and as Rhodes loses traction in the far lane, Jack raises his hand in a victory salute at 197 miles per hour.
Jones, power side, 7.64 is the winning number. A losing 7.8.
In an informal ceremony beside the starting line, Sergeant Wesley Poley, a SAC bomber crew chief, receives the keys to a new Pontiac GTO from George Hurst, as Wally Parks, president of the National Hot Rod Association, offers his congratulations. Sergeant Poley picked the winner of the Firecracker 400 stock car race to top 23,000 other servicemen in the Hurst Armed Forces Club contest. Now, Sergeant Poley proudly drives off with his parents, flown in especially for the ceremony from Ackley, Iowa. Here's another proud passenger. It's Linda Vaughn, the first lady of drag racing and the gal known as Miss Hurst Golden Shifter. Linda is a great favorite at the races. She begins her own special trip down the quarter mile, pausing to say hello to the Nationals' chief starter, Buster Couch. Then she's off to greet the fans with her special brand of drag racing hospitality. And now we're back at the beginning for another look at Big Daddy's championship drive against Californian Steve Carbone. Carbone and his extremely potent Kreitz, Greer, and Donovan Fueler has put together 4 consecutive 6-second runs during eliminations, and Big Daddy will have to be at his cool best. Carbone may be only seconds away from the drag racing record books. Tulsa Base Flyer has the horsepower, but King Rat has the psychological edge. Over 3,000 horsepower inches forward onto the launching pad. The Garlits crew cleans every particle of grit from the huge 12-inch wide slicks, assuring Big Daddy of optimum traction in this frantic climax to 3 days of racing. Carbone, apparently unmoved by the legend of Big Daddy, stages his long, lean missile in the far lane. Garlits leaps into an instant lead as Carbone stands on the throttle, and his tires break loose right off the line. His chances for a Nationals crown go up in smoke. The King of Speed has done it again. It's thumbs up for Garlits the man, who puts Sefner, Florida, on the map. Lap time, 6.87 seconds. Speed, 226 miles per hour. Big Daddy wins his second Nationals in a row and the third of a great career. Both unprecedented accomplishments in the sport. Suddenly, it's over. The greatest drag race of them all is history. It's been a hectic weekend for the racers and the watchers alike. The competition was outstanding, and the scenery, you might say, was superb. But that's the way it is at Indy, the best of everything.